Well, hello, friends, and welcome to the Imago Nutrition Podcast. My name is Mark, along with Danielle. We are excited about this series that we've been in, and so we have always said that this podcast is about answering your questions and giving you practical nutrition strategies to help you and your family flourish. And so we're really leaning into the practical nutrition strategies with this series that we're kind of loosely calling the Getting Creative with Food series. And so if you've been following along, you'll notice that we've done a couple of these already. Our last one was on blueberries and bulgur, and the one before that was on apples and avocados. And suffice it to say, if you're someone who, perhaps knows you should, or you want to begin eating healthier, you want to begin preferring more what we call nutrient-dense foods in your daily regimen, in your meals and in your snacks, this is really the series for you, because what we're trying to do is unpack just creative ways. This is not complicated ways necessarily, so don't get thrown off by creative, meaning you've got to become some, chef or anything like that, but just really some creative ways to incorporate these foods into your daily, your weekly, your monthly nutritional regimen. And so really excited about the series. Been having a lot of fun. I've been learning a lot. Hope you guys have been as well, as Danielle's been walking us through some of these foods two at a time, episode by episode. And so all that's to say, if you have a question, though, we will eventually, circle back to questions and start continuing to do those episodes based off your questions. So if you do have a question, whether it's about this series or these foods or nutrition in general, you can always submit questions to us by going to our website, imagonutrition.com. That's IMAGO nutrition.com/podcast. So if you just scroll down that page a little bit, you'll see a form. You can enter that and you can send your question to us, and we will consider that for a future episode. And so look forward to, again, getting back to some of your questions, but having a lot of fun right now just working through. I mean, it's a nutrition podcast, right? We should spend a fair amount of time talking about, fun foods to incorporate more. And so, again, if you haven't listened to the last two episodes, I highly encourage you to do so. But today we have an interesting one, and these may, I think, surprise folks that we're going to be talking about getting creative with these. A lot of times I think some people might not think that you can do much creative with these two foods. And so today we're going to be talking about cauliflower and canned beans. And so Danielle, I wanted to toss it over to you. Which one would you like to do first? And hello, by the way, I've been talking the whole episode yet again. We're 3 minutes in. So how are you doing?
I'm good. I was thinking we could start with cauliflower.
All right, let's do it. Now, admittedly, I think this one's gotten a little bit of, kind of news media in the recent years, cauliflower crust pizza. And, I think a lot of these great restaurants are starting to do some really cool things with cauliflower, along with things like Brussels sprouts as well. So I think cauliflower's got a little bit of an edge in terms of people might already be a little acclimated to thinking about, cauliflower creatively. But practically, I'm curious how, and I confess, we don't consume a lot of cauliflower apart from sometimes getting some pizzas or something like that and doing the cauliflower crust or whatnot. So I confess, in our house, we don't incorporate cauliflower a lot. We do lots of fruits, lots of veggies, but it doesn't tend to be cauliflower. But I remember eating a lot of cauliflower growing up. And so I'm curious if you could bridge some ideas for us with this pretty incredible food.
Yeah, let's start with just kind of the nutrition side of it, what kind of things it's giving your body. So first, in 1 cup of cauliflower, you're getting only 27 calories. So the volume that you get to eat with such low calories is pretty cool. You get 2 grams of fiber in that 1 cup and only 5 grams of carbs. So it is considered a non-starchy vegetable. Has essentially 0 grams of fat and 0 grams of protein. So it is a non-starchy vegetable. It provides vitamin C, vitamin K, and folate. Those are around the 20% daily value. So that's a really good source of vitamin C, vitamin K, and folate. It's packed with antioxidants. I'm just going to name a few. It's 2 separate groups of antioxidants that actually slow the growth of cancer cells. So that's pretty cool. And the other antioxidant, sulforaphane, I don't know if I can pronounce that correctly, but this antioxidant helps reduce blood pressure and keep your arteries healthy. So that's helpful for preventing heart disease, of course. So lots of great health benefits with this veggie, and it does have a very mild flavor. So it can be incorporated into a lot of different recipes. You're right, Mark. I definitely see that cauliflower is, on the market as far as cauliflower rice. So you can actually buy mashed cauliflower as well, and then the cauliflower pizza crust. So it is getting there in the food processing world to incorporate cauliflower more. But let's take, the fresh cauliflower and what can we do with it? So first, my favorite is roasting it. Okay. So you just cut it to about equal sized pieces, toss it with a little olive oil and make sure it's spread out on a single layer. So no cauliflower stacked on top of each other on a cookie sheet so it doesn't steam. And then you put it at about 400 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. So you're looking for that toasted brown. It takes the bitterness out of the vegetable and is an enzymatic browning process that makes it taste a little bit sweeter. So tossing it with a little olive oil, salt and pepper, or I like to do like Parmesan or maybe a little buffalo seasoning, just a little bit goes a long way. So you're not increasing the sodium tremendously, but it's really great to put whatever spices and herbs that you like. So
yeah, we do that quite often. My wife does with broccoli. We do the exact same thing. So we'll put it in the oven, a little bit of olive oil, Parmesan cheese. It also works with broccoli. So it's a good reminder. Remember, we can do the same thing with, same procedure basically with cauliflower just as easily and start to incorporate that too. Because we do eat quite a bit of broccoli on our side, but it could be fun to change it up a little bit.
There you go. I also forgot to mention, it's kind of fun. They come in 4 different colors actually. So cauliflower comes white, purple, green, and orange. Okay. So I have not experienced the green and orange.
I was just going to say, I've seen purple. I was just going to say, I've seen white and purple, but I've never seen green and orange. And that would probably freak me out, but that's probably a fun thing to look for. I don't know if we get it here in Middle Tennessee, but orange cauliflower, if anyone out there gets orange cauliflower, be sure to let us know.
Let us know how it tries, because I've only been able to try the purple one and it was really different. It was really good. Your mom actually brought it to our house. I said, can you find any purple vegetables? I really want my kids to try some. And she brought some purple cauliflower. So it's probably available at some farmers markets, but okay. So the next one is add roasted. So you're going to take that roasted. So that's why I like to make like 2 pans, just make a lot. So you can take those leftovers, roasted, and toss it into salads, quinoa dishes, or rice dishes. Okay. You can also toss with your favorite vinaigrette, olives, capers, grape tomatoes, for a really fast side dish. So that's going to be serving the roasted cauliflower cold when you're tossing it with the vinaigrette, olives, grape tomatoes. But then when you're doing it in the, salads or quinoa or rice dishes, it could be warm or cold, whatever sounds good to you.
Nice.
And then the next one would be kind of thinking about a soup. So it can be a great way to lighten up a soup and give still that thick texture of a cream. So you can cook it in some broth with spices and herbs, onion, celery, garlic, and carrots. And you're kind of just making like a good soup base. You can eat it just like that because there's tons of veggies in that. Or you can add some other things like, chicken or something else that you like in your soup. So a good way to fill up on fiber and not calories for your cream-based soups. Another one is just to lightly steam the cauliflower and toss it in with your mac and cheese. So it's just going to give like almost like it's going to get a little cheesy, obviously, from the mac and cheese, but it's just a little bit of a texture change. So your mac and cheese is not all the same texture.
That's cool.
This one is kind of for the like Indian flair. So you combine it with cooked potatoes, turmeric, garlic, ginger, and coriander and cumin. So that would be a fun recipe to just find what kind of amounts you would put of those, but just to give you a combination for a different flavor. So turmeric, garlic, ginger, coriander, and cumin, and toss it with some cooked potatoes. Another one that I really like to do is bread it. So you kind of dip it in some egg wash, dip it in some whole grain panko breadcrumbs, and then you bake or air fry. That would be really kind of fun, kind of like a good appetizer, or just a side dish would be fine too. You can also pickle them. So you can pickle them just like you would pickles, and you could make it a little spicy if you want by adding some hot peppers.
Wow, pickled cauliflower. That's something I would try too.
I know. I would like to buy that. You probably could somewhere.
Yeah, someone that's already mastered it.
Yeah.
I'll pay a little extra for someone else to have done all the work.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Another one is to make a homemade veggie dip. So you're going to take that roasted cauliflower again, and you're going to combine it with Greek yogurt, smoked paprika, garlic, and you're going to blend it, and then you let it chill for an hour. So it would be a really great veggie dip, or, you can use some whole grain crackers. And the last one that I like to make, it's a little labor intensive, but I just buy the rice cauliflower in the steam bag, squeeze out all the water, and then you combine it with egg, Parmesan, salt, pepper, garlic, onion, and paprika. And the cheese, a little bit of the cheese in the egg holds it together. So you have like hash brown patties. They're really tasty.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So lots of fun things you can do. I tried that with broccoli, and it did not work as well. So the cauliflower does work better with the hash brown patties for sure. So
okay, yeah. That's a whole new world for cauliflower.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
About 10 or 11 tips there. So hope you guys can have some fun with cauliflower this week.
All right. That's cool. I think there's 2 or 3 that I'm thinking I'd like to try first. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do with some good old cauliflower. So I just remember eating it raw as a kid with like a little bit of ranch or something like that. I mean, it's just
there you go. There's tip number 12.
just gnawing on it, not that ranch is the greatest, but a little bit here and there, but it's pretty amazing the amount of things we can do with these foods now. So, all right. So the next one, might sound as bland as possible, right? Even just the fact that it's in a can, right? People are just like, it's just canned beans just in your pantry. So let's talk getting a little creative with canned beans. And what kind of beans are we talking about? And what can we do with them?
Yeah, exactly. So beans, obviously there's a million different kinds, and the nutrients vary based on the bean. It doesn't have to be canned, but they are obviously faster because they're already cooked for you. So just takes away from the soaking process and things like that. And just by draining the canned beans, you're reducing the sodium by 45%. Yeah. So if you rinse them, which I like to do as well, the sodium goes over half less. So that's really great. So the variety, obviously, I'm all about variety would be key. And we can kind of talk a little bit about the benefits of the different varieties. But in general, 1 cup of cooked beans has about 15 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, 45 grams of carbs, 15 grams of fiber, and about 170 calories. So you're going to feel really satisfied with that fiber, 15 grams, and protein. So really filling. They're a plant-based protein, obviously. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, it's real life. It's a podcast. Phones go off. My dog was gruffing a bit earlier. I had to mute my mic. He's kind of in the corner going, ruff, ruff, ruff. I thought he heard something. I'm like, well, we're live. What can you do? It's real life. So, anyway, I forgot where it was, but it's a plant-based protein, so there's no cholesterol. So that's a great thing about beans, and because of that fiber. And by the way, on that, we should say real quick. So if you do have or are worried about or have someone in your life who has high cholesterol, highly recommend you go back to our episode. I'm forgetting the exact title because I didn't plan on saying this, wasn't in my notes, but I believe the title was something like How a Dietitian Overcame High Cholesterol Using One Food or something like that. Spoiler alert, that dietitian is Danielle, who came from a history of high cholesterol and overcame in that entire episode. She talks about how she overcame that high cholesterol really just utilizing beans. right? Like focusing on beans intently, incorporating them. So that's another great episode on this topic of beans, but specific to, high cholesterol. And so when it comes to high cholesterol, these really are just an amazing food that you should be focusing on to reduce your higher cholesterol. So, and again, that whole episode does more justice to that. So that's just a primer. When you're done with this, once you got all these creative ways you can do it, go couple it with the power of the knowledge, that this food is very powerful in reducing that. And if you have someone in your life that's got high cholesterol, be sure to send them both these episodes. This one, and say, hey, the second half of this one's all about getting creative with beans. And here's the one that talks about how and why, high cholesterol or, utilizing beans is so powerful for high cholesterol. So anyways, little side note. And so, yeah, be sure to take a look back in our archives for that episode. So, okay, I'm done. Yeah. Let's keep going on beans.
Well, we do have a self-study too on the high cholesterol. Oh,
that's so true. That's true. That would be even, if I was even smarter of a businessman, I would have gone that route. So now that we've given them 2 free resources, I should say you can also head over to our website. And if you go to imagonutrition.com, and you'll see our navigation has a services tab. And if you click on services, you will see that high cholesterol is one of the options. And so if you click on high cholesterol, that will take you to a page that will kind of, give you a little bit of information on that, what it looks like, hopefully encourage you that you can take control of this. You have the power. And as Danielle mentioned, she authored what we call a self-study that is very inexpensive. That's the point of these self-studies, is to give you access to the information that you would receive if you were to meet with Danielle, if you were to meet with a dietitian, if you were to meet with someone that your doctor recommended. And this is just a way for you to do that at home with these self-studies. And so feel free to head over again to imagonutrition.com, go to the services tab in our navigation, click on high cholesterol, and we have a self-study there that we hope and pray is helping a lot of people reduce high cholesterol with the power of nutrition. So good point. I almost forgot the opportunity to talk about the self-study. Shame on me. So you got 2 podcasts and a self-study. We got you queued up if you got high cholesterol. And of course, reach out to us if you have any questions about that.
Great. So not just high cholesterol, but so if you don't have it, beans are really great just because there's blue zones. There's little pockets of the country that they live to be 100, and they have beans every day. So this is ways we can incorporate beans in a lot of different ways. There's so many different ones to, have some fun. So, okay. So I told you the nutrition, it's a great source of iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and folate. So tons of vitamins and minerals. The first tip, I know we kind of built us up here. So the first tip is to toss some beans into your pasta or rice dishes. I would also say add quinoa bowls or soups too, would be great to toss those. Cannellini beans are kind of like white kidney beans. They also have white kidney beans, so there's a slight difference in those two. Or black beans could go well in those pasta dish, rice dish, quinoa bowls, or soups. Next, you could put it in a salad. So top it on a green leaf salad for added protein, fiber, and texture. I really like to use chickpeas for these because they're really crunchy. So that kind of pairs well with the crunch of your salad. So you could actually just rinse a can, drain a can of chickpeas, or you could get those roasted chickpeas that are flavored. Have you tried those, Mark?
You love them. You've asked me about these a lot of times, and so I still have yet to do roasted chickpeas. But I think about the 18th time you ask, I think I'll finally do it. So keep asking.
So they're a great.
It sounds like snack. I was going to say, sounds like a great road trip snack. I tend to think of like snacks as like when I'm in the car, like what can I do when I'm going on a long road trip? Like we've got the thing that we're doing in July, like we're going to Colorado, and I'm already thinking like, man, how am I going to snack all the way to Colorado? So roasted chickpeas, I think that'll finally be the trip that does it. And we're going to caravan with you guys, so you'll just be in the car next to us throwing chickpeas at our car trip. So.
Well, they come in lots of flavors. So there's lots of chip-like flavors. So mesquite barbecue, honey roasted, ranch. So, and you can even get a sweet variety too. Like you can get sweet cinnamon or cocoa dusted. So those are actually on the fava beans, Fava. So you typically find the roasted in the package, like kind of like a snack, either the fava beans, FAVA, or the roasted chickpeas. So
Nice.
the brands do make a difference, Mark, just so you know. Try a couple different brands. The first one might not be your favorite. So, okay. So toss it in a salad, or you can mix it into your next tuna salad. So that could be another way to incorporate beans. Another one would be a quick side dish. So you can add zucchini, summer squash, eggplants, peppers, oregano, and sauteed onion and garlic. Stir in those cannellini beans and chopped tomatoes and add 1 tablespoon of red vinegar and serve on brown rice or bulgur. There's our bulgur. So,
Bulgur. Nice.
Yeah. So toss it with the red wine vinegar, all those veggies and garlic and onion for a quick side dish. Another one would be to mash pinto beans with ground cumin and spread on a tortilla, add some scrambled eggs and salsa. So there's your protein-packed breakfast or lunch.
Yep.
I really like to do cannellini beans here, and they have like a creamy texture when they're mashed. So you can make a breakfast or a chicken quesadilla. So I do the cannellini beans, again, rinsed and drained, a little garlic, salt and pepper, and then with either scrambled eggs or the grilled chicken for a nice quesadilla.
My kids love quesadillas. I wonder if they'd try that. They're kind of picky, but it sounds like a really sweet option.
I mean, only a couple mashed in there would be really tasty. So I'll give you that creamy texture. All right. So another one could be you could make black bean burgers or black bean tacos. I know probably a lot of people have seen these where you can buy them. If you do want to just buy them, that's totally fine. Morningstar has a pretty good brand. It's a pretty good brand that has 17 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber. So when you buy like veggie burgers, I want you to look for the fiber. If it's not 3 grams, put it back because that's what you're getting from a veggie burger. You should be getting veggies or fiber. So the black bean burger, look for the fiber, 3 grams or more. Or you can make them. There's tons of recipes. I typically make black bean tacos instead. So I just combine a can of black beans, rinsed and drained, diced onions, and then cumin, paprika, and coriander with a little shredded cheese. Again, I like to make this in bulk and take the leftovers and use it as a inside of a stuffed sweet potato. So it's kind of nice that you can make one recipe and make 2 different meals from it pretty fast, pretty easily. So the sweet and savory would be, the leftovers on top of the sweet potato. All right. Another one would be like a bean salad. So you combine just a variety of different beans. So kidney beans, white beans, whichever ones you like, with peppers, onions, and your favorite citrus vinaigrette dressing, and let it marinate for a little bit. My grandma used to make this. It wasn't a citrus vinaigrette dressing. It was more just like a vinegar and oil based dressing. My son actually loves it. She hasn't made it in a while, but yeah. So bean salad could be.
I've had those, and I'm a big citrus guy. I love citrus stuff, and so that's something that's always I've always remembered the times that I've had those bean salads with the citrus, and so I'm a big fan of those. I think it's nice. It's refreshing. The texture is really amazing. It's just it can be really cool. So
good.
I'm a big fan of that one.
Awesome. The next one is kind of like a bean dip or bruschetta, where you can put it on whole grain crackers or like cut your bell pepper wedges pretty thick so you can kind of scoop it. So you combine white kidney beans, sun-dried tomatoes, garlic, rosemary, oil, and red wine vinegar. You just put that in a blender for just a tiny bit, so you still have a little bit of texture, and fold in some olives. That is a nice. I think I made something similar for that when you were here. We went to Johnson Shut-ins. Do you remember? I don't remember what that was.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was kind of like a homemade salsa, if you will. Maybe just a little bit extra fun things in there.
Yeah, that was a blast of a trip too. And I remember that we were eating at that picnic table right by the parking lot. It sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the last one, you can make a creamy bean dip. Okay, so kind of like hummus, or you can do a dessert hummus. So I really like to make chocolate hummus for the kids. We call it chocolate dip, and we serve it with apples. So it could also go well with graham crackers or something. But really pretty simple. It has some, I think it has almond butter I put, cocoa powder, the chickpeas. And you have to puree that so it gets really smooth. So,
wow. So say that again. That's a fun one. I think a lot of people, it's a fun one to end on. So go again. Yeah. Do the chocolate hummus again.
The chocolate hummus is cocoa powder. There is a little maple syrup to make it sweet. It would really not be good without that.
I'm glad I asked.
Cocoa powder, maple syrup, almond butter, and the chickpeas. I think there's vanilla too. So you got to puree that. Yeah.
There you go.
So
very cool.
That is some fun with beans. So we have, I think that was again about 10 tips. So
that's awesome.
I think they're very versatile.
Well, that's the whole point of this series, right? Is versatility with these foods, because that's such a big need. Is a lot of times, again, as I said at the beginning, is we want to include more healthy foods, right? We get into regimens, we get into kind of our daily operations, our daily routines, and sometimes it's tough to kind of break into those routines, you know, and so for better or for worse. And so with, you know, the point of this is to say, look, there's opportunities to get creative with these foods, hopefully in you know, not in a super laborious way. Again, it's nothing that you mentioned really takes a ton of time. And so, and I argue too, you know, going to a fast food restaurant, waiting in line, and, you know, that takes time too. So, you know, you can pick and choose how you want to spend your time, and incorporating these foods, of course, has just a whole host of health outcomes and benefits. And so it's just really fun to hear, because again, this is something that I need to grow in. Is I'm kind of the same thing every day sort of guy. And so it's just fun to talk about these different ways. And so, you know, who would have thought that you could have done those 10? And by the way, this is just picking 10 or 12, you know, there's, we're not saying these are the only, you know, 10 to 12 ways you can do things with cauliflower, but chances are, you know, you could use a couple more in your toolbox. Right. And so that's what this is all about. And so, yeah. So again, we covered cauliflower and canned beans. Again, previous episodes, we touched on blueberries and bulgur, which we mentioned again in this episode. And then in the first one, we did apples and avocados. So if you enjoyed this episode but haven't gone back, be sure to do so. And then, as we said, be sure to dig back through the archive, find that episode on high cholesterol and beans. And if our self-study can serve you in any way, help you with high cholesterol, be sure to head over to the website and see that. So with that, if this has been helpful, we would love it if you would subscribe, just so you get notified through your podcast app that we have new episodes. And if you'd leave us a review, just lets us know how we're doing. We're doing this for free because we love this stuff. We love to help people. And the podcast is one of the ways that we get to reach out to folks that perhaps we'll never get to meet in person. We hope we do. But if we never do, we're hoping that this podcast is just super helpful. So if it is helpful, you've got a friend, we'd always love it if you'd share this episode with a friend, someone that's looking to get creative, looking to eat a little bit healthier, or again, include some more of these nutrient-dense foods in your daily, weekly, monthly regimen. We'd love to help as many people as possible. So you can follow us on social media. In fact, Danielle has started getting involved on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff. She's starting to send out some nuggets of wisdom. And so if you've been following any of our social media, like, it's really just Mark blabbing about energy balance and protein intake. And so if you're excited to hear more from Danielle, she is starting to ramp up sending out nuggets of wisdom on our social media. So you can follow us across any of the major platforms at Imago Nutrition. That's IMAGO Nutrition. And as always, we'd like to thank Happy Pill for our theme song, Thinkin Bout Food. We'll see you next time.